Welcome to Horror After Midnight. I am your host, KC, joined tonight by the one, the only SaWGuy. How's it going tonight, man?
Doing pretty good. I'm excited. Oh, we finally get to talk to one of my favorite ones. Uh, I'm excited. God damn, I can't even talk. We're talking about Halloween Resurrection. Are you ready for some dangertainment?
Oh, yeah. Bust the food.
Oh my god, this shit was like one of my favorite films because this is one of the first ones I actually got to see in theater. But Halloween Resurrection. This is a sequel to H2O. As we said in the previous episode when we were talking about H2O, that was released in '98. This was released actually in 2002, and interestingly enough, this was released on July 12th. And I say that because July 13th is SaWGuy Day. So I mean, also, too, KC is a July baby, so kind of cool that this is kind of falling in our month there. But
Yeah,
with
just
this
kind of
film,
strange to release it in summertime.
that's a lot of people were scratching their heads on that because it's like, why the hell would you release it in the summer? But it was a slow summer. I figured probably they just said, fuck it, we're just going to put it in there and then release it by Halloween, which they did for DVD. Kind of a cool little thing that they did that. But with Halloween Resurrection, it was directed by Rick Rosenhall, who was actually the director of Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. So got some hands in there and thought it was pretty interesting with that. Of course, with all the actors, you have Jamie Lee Curtis that came back. You have Busta Rhymes, at the time, kids, he was one of the best and fastest rappers. I think he still is one of the fastest rappers, right?
He's one of them, yeah.
He's one of them. You have some other actors in here. You have Bianca College, who she plays the main girl, Sarah. And then she has, the blonde friend, Katie Sackhoff, who now she's barely getting big because she's in The Mandalorian and all that stuff. Of course, Tyra Banks is in this as well. Before she had that whole meltdown, you don't know who I am, and how what I've got through. This kind of started the meme of that because of how crazy she was in this. Um, this film, though, what's kind of interesting, and I was looking at it, the budget was actually $2 million shorter than the H2O. H2O was 17 million. This is 15 million, right? H2O
Yeah.
took home 70 million. This took home 37.5 million. So honestly, I think the ship sailed on this one. What do you think?
For money wise, I mean, it could have been the time of year they released it. I'm not sure what else was out around the same time. But I mean, it's a lot of money, but not in comparison to the last one.
Yeah, and honestly, people are going to argue about this, and I'm bringing this up right here because one, I think it was too late because 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. So roughly about close to 4 years, I think the ship sailed on it. The only other thing I could think of why it was released so late is because of course, the tragedy of 9/11. When that happened, everything stopped. The whole world stopped for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Um, but this film was actually released the same week with Men in Black 2, which that was supposed to come out in 2001, but of course they had to push that back because of 9/11. So I don't know. I mean, you can make an argument for both, but I think honestly, people were just burned out of the story because the way they ended H2O, how do you fuck up that ending, dude? I mean, uh, I'll let you take it. So we know what happens at H2O at the ending. I'll let you take this one. Go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, at the end of H2O, Michael, he's pinned up against a tree by the van or whatever. He gets his head chopped off. There's no way of coming back to life from that. So
Right?
in this one, they basically say that the it was like one of the EMT guys or whatever had his like larynx crushed or something and wasn't able to speak, and she killed the wrong guy. And in this one, Michael comes back, and Lori has like gone crazy because she killed the wrong man or something, and somehow is in this mental institution. More or less, Michael tracks her down there. Uh, there's a kind of cool character there that like wears a mask, and he's like obsessed with different serial killers or whatever. That character was kind of cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, so Michael gets her. She like has like a rope or whatever, and it's like on a pulley, and gets him up in the air, and he starts doing the same thing the other guy did that she killed. That was the wrong guy. She gets a little bit too close. Michael grabs her, kills her. Movie moves on. You got it's a group of college friends that all entered to be into this Dangertainment online web show. Pretty
You
cool.
didn't say it
Something you've
right.
never seen.
You gotta say it like Buster Rhymes. Dangertainment.
Yeah, the Dangertainment. Yeah.
Oh my god. Honestly, I love, not to cut you off. I was gonna say in the beginning, I loved how they kind of explained it, but it was kind of just so like, it's a letdown. Because let me ask you this: when they see him, the paramedic, and he chokes him, breaks his larynx or crushes his larynx, sorry, um, and he switches the suits, right? Wouldn't he be
Yeah.
fucking burned? Like you would see this guy who's all scarred up and shit in his face, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, because this H2O took place after part two, where he got all blown up and shit, right? So you would
Yeah.
think somebody looks like Freddy Krueger in this, but they didn't. And I like the concept with it, how she like they cut the head and then they actually show where they pick up the head and take the mask off. I was like, oh shit. Um, my only complaint is what the fuck happened to Michael Myers after this? So he went out to the bushes and just laid low and then stole a new like version of his mask, or like that's the thing that kind of tripped me out with that. And then the serial killer. This is what I like about the guy who was in the inmate, the serial killer one, who was obsessed with him. He was
Yeah.
wearing the clown mask from Slipknot. Um, I know Slipknot didn't make well. Slipknot kind of put it on point, but it was a known like clown mask. But I thought it was kind of badass that he was wearing that. The death scene, it was, you knew it was coming. Where she was like, "Okay, let me get close." They got tangled up, and then she falls. He falls on the back of the building. He has a knife and stabs right through her. And then she's like, "Okay, you finally got me." She kisses him, and then kind of like Bride of
Yeah, she
Chucky.
says, "I'll see you in hell."
Yeah, it was like, he kind of did the thing where like, get off my knife, and he pushed her, and she goes fucking flying down, bloop, and
Yeah.
looks at the knife, was gone, and then he gives the knife to that dude, and kind of sets everything up and frames him, so nobody knows that it's Michael Myers. So I love that concept. When it followed the college students, I was like, but Dangertainment. It was they were doing some casting on it, and um honestly, it was actually pretty good. I mean, what'd you think about how they did the casting and how they play that out, like doing the Dangertainment thing?
It was pretty cool. It seemed like it was like one of the friends entered all their like the four friends or whatever, three or four, whatever, and they entered into this contest and somehow they all got picked, and they also picked out a few other people. One's like this kind of strange guy with curly hair that talks about Michael Myers is kind of in all of us. It's like the voice inside your head that like tells you to choke the old lady that's taking too long at the checkout counter. Um,
That shit
he
was
was kind
funny.
of cool. I like the chef guy. I don't remember his name. He was all obsessed with everything to do with cooking, and the reason why Michael did what he did is because of a poor diet. Um, they're all interesting characters in their own way. You had the smart girl, the redhead. I can't remember her name. What she did exactly. She was some type of, I don't know. They're all college students in different ways, but all pretty interesting characters. And then you had the blonde. She was kind of pale, and she was all about trying to like make her big break in the film from this show she's doing.
Yeah, it's honestly, I like the characters because everybody was a little bit different, and then the fact they weren't like high school kids, because all the Halloween films they started off as high school kids. They were the
Yeah,
babysitter killer. The fact that they kind of tied into college students, they were like 21 to 25, and they all had their own different characters, and you could tell Buster Rhymes. This film was ahead of its time because at the time, reality TV hadn't been a thing yet. They probably had the Joe Millionaire shit and one other show that was like the Joe Schmo show. I think that was the first two real reality shows that came out. So this kind of played into that, where they want each different people, where, oh, this person's this way, this person's that way. They're not going to get along, but it's going to create some good entertainment. They had Tyra Banks on there, and Tyra Banks was Buster Rhymes' like wife, and they were setting
Yeah.
everything up. And the premise was they didn't tell them what it was. Then after they selected them, they said, "Oh, you guys are going to be, filming this, wearing these cameras on your glasses," which that was kind of advanced for its time. And we're going to lock you in the Michael Myers house, and you're going to try and solve the murder mystery of why Michael Myers is crazy. Kind of a cool concept. And they said, "Okay, we're going to do this show," but streaming wasn't a thing yet. So this was actually one of the first movies that kind of brought up streaming because they're streaming the video live and you can only watch it online. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Like everybody thought at the time when the movie came out, like, that's fake. That's never gonna fucking happen. And it actually happened, like 8 years later, 2010, when streaming became a big thing. It was ahead of its time with that. I give it a lot of credit. And then you kind of knew something was up because the main girl, Sarah, she was just like, well, I don't want to know if I want to do this. And she had a weird like connection with this other dude that, because online chatting was a thing and they had
Yeah.
Palm Pilots. So she met this dude who was also in high school. He was a young kid who catfished her. He fucking catfished her, saying he's this old dude named Decker. And
Yeah. He's like
it
a
was kind of,
graduate of some kind of something he helped her with. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
yeah, it
yeah.
was kind of, it was with, and she had her Palm Pilot, and they're like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, nothing." And she's fucking texting with a Palm Pilot. I loved how they actually were pushing the boundaries of that, and then um, the fact that every character they got all set up. She tried to back out, and Busta Rhymes is like, "No, we're gonna do this," and they kind of dive into his character, how he like martial arts films, the Asian
Yeah,
martial
he was
arts.
big into like almost like was it Bruce Lee who was watching?
Yeah, and she goes and knocks on the door. He goes, "God damn it, make me miss my wine chain." Just something stupid. And I thought it was pretty cool. And they show Michael Myers just kind of like going through. They're setting up the house. They show one of the camera crews who was like, "Oh, don't do this angle, don't do this angle because this angle sucks." And they're setting everything up. Well, he didn't realize that Michael Myers was there, and he thought it was nothing. And then they get the camera, stabbed him in the neck, and that guy was gone. And I was like, "Oh shit, that was kind of a cool first kill with that, or a second
Yeah.
kill, I should say." Um, Buster Rhymes brings him in. Of course, what Halloween film would it not be if it was not taking place on Halloween? So
Yeah.
Halloween day going into night, they brought him in the house, lock him in. As that's going on, you find out more about this kid Decker and his story about how he's got a best friend that's like, "Hey man, pull some strings. We're gonna hang out at my brother's party," and they're dressed up as fucking Pulp Fiction. They're at the party,
Yeah.
and everybody's all dressed up as Dimension characters. There's one dude wearing his ghost face mask in the corner. It's all the shit we talked about in the last episode on H2O. Everything Dimensions they were bringing up.
Yeah.
Um, but I loved how they all kind of put into the house because they're like kind of arguing, like, "Well, what do we do?" "Well, I don't know. We're all being watched right now on live TV." And the long curly hair dude, he's like, "Fuck it. The devil made him do it. I'm done."
Yeah.
That shit was funny because he had good character skills. The other girl, the redhead girl, he was trying to get after her. He's like, "Donna, you got some great legs. What time they open?" He was just, you could tell he was the smartass of the crew. And then they
Yeah.
kind of went around the house. But I mean, what'd you think of the premise of that? How they were just kind of locked in the house, they didn't know what to do, and then just shit went haywire.
It was really interesting, entertaining. It's something that we ain't at that time hadn't seen before. So that was pretty cool how they did that. I did like it how they were going around the house trying to figure out like what was going on, and they find almost like I wouldn't say underground tunnels, but some kind of thing where Michael's been living. And I guess he eats rats that are like raw, so he took like a bite out of one, but ain't wasn't dead yet. It's kind of like sitting there on a plate. That was kind of cool to see. Like, and that's when they find out that he's been living here this whole time in the house, and he starts like picking them off, one by one. And then you got what was it? That one part where the two Michaels meet each other, and it's Busta Rhymes basically telling him that he needs to go do what he's supposed to be doing and get on out of here or whatever. And Michael actually listens to him and turns around and walks away.
That shit was funny. "I'd unlock the back door for you. Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
The way he said it, he goes, "I'm Michael Myers, motherfucker." That I loved how he started picking them off one by one like prey. I loved how they did the whole effects with the rats. I think each character was something different. The blonde friend, I was hoping because she's like, "Oh, let's see if I get famous." So she lifts up her shirt, and I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna see some titties!" No, it was a letdown. God damn it. Um,
Yeah.
then the other dude kind of let it down, and then he was like looking in the mirror, fucking around because he's like, "You'll get her," and then Michael breaks out of the mirror, which I thought was another cool wink to what was that movie? I Know What You Did Last Summer at the end, where he breaks out of the mirror and tries to get Jennifer Love Hewitt. Um, then he grabs him by the neck, and then you hear he sounds like Beavis, no, gets stabbed in the
Oh yeah.
head. Um, and then they lose the feed, which I thought was pretty cool. And everybody else, how they all kind of were getting picked off. You had what's his name? I think his name was Jonah. Yeah, Jonah was the curly haired guy. They go in the underground tunnel. He tries to make out with the redhead. They find out that there's like these severed arms, and then it ends up being like fucking fake parts. That's
Oh
when
yeah,
he
made
meets up.
fucking Taiwan.
Yeah, made in fucking Taiwan. They go and see him, and then they have like two different Michael Myers, and he sees him, and he goes, "No, this is just entertainment. This is why I bring you guys in." And you find out that it was all ruse, which is actually pretty cool. I mean, most reality TV shows you find out later on were like that.
Yeah.
But then when they started doing the kills, like Jonah, he got his head smashed in, like in part 4. Donna, she was running in the sewers and got stuck at the end, and then he just slams her through the gates and shit, like Jamie in part 6.
Yeah.
Um, and while all this is going on, Decker's watching this at his friend's house, and he's in this office and has this big ass screen TV, and it's a big old monitor, and he's watching it, and people are coming in. They're like, "What the fuck you doing?" He's like, "Oh, watching the Michael Myers thing, Dangertainment." Um, and I thought it was also funny too because Dimension Films did Freddy versus Jason. One of the friends that came in was the kid from Freddy versus Jason who like knocks out Jason. I was like, what the fuck? They keep it all in the family here with Dimensions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was crazy, but I like the concept where Decker was watching it and then he's texting her at the same time, but he's doing it on instant message on the computer, and then she's
Yeah.
getting on her like Palm Pilot. Like we didn't have that shit back in the day. That barely came out like fucking 2010. Another 8 years.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember the exact year when we started having I mean we had flip phones, so it wasn't the same as what she had.
We had fucking razors. That was the thing that you no, actually this was before the razors. This was the Nokia like 3210, those fucking phones that were indestructible.
Oh, like the big brick fucking phone?
Yeah. Those are the phones that everybody had. You didn't have a Palm Pilot unless you had fucking money. That shit was funny, dude. I was tripping out at that. And then um the rest of the story takes place where they're like everybody gets all picked off. You find out that her friend dies, the dude from say The Last Dance. So she's trying to run. She runs into the garage room. She sees that there's blood all over. Tyra Banks is killed, and Michael was gonna try and kill her, and then fucking shit happened where I guess the sparks happen, and from the blood and the water or whatever, or the gas. Buster Rhymes comes in. And he's like, "Trick or treat, motherfucker!" And they fucking fight. He gets electrocuted. They run out, and the whole house burns down. Which actually, that was kind of cool with the whole story, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was. I think it was all pretty good. I mean, could have been
Yeah.
better, but I mean, overall, it was a very entertaining movie.
Well, because Michael Myers fucking got caught on fire again for a second time. Because you have 1, 2, and then H2O, and then Resurrection. So he's been melted a fucking second time.
Yeah,
Um, at the end of it, they pull him out, and you see the mask is melted to his face. Fucking Buster Rhymes, man. He's like, "You look like some fried chicken, motherfucker." And
yeah,
they him and Sarah were the only ones, and then she was texting Decker like, "Oh yeah, thank you for everything, Decker." And that was it. They showed the movie where it was ending, where they take Michael Myers to the morgue. They're like, "Oh, we got a celebrity. It's Michael Myers." They unzip the bag, and then you see his eyes open up, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And they left it open like that.
yeah. And they never went back to that storyline until because after
Ugh.
this one we got the remakes.
Got a different timeline, I know. And honestly, from my take on this film, I gotta talk about it first thing right off the bat. The mask, right? I fucking love this mask. This is my favorite mask of all time out of all the series. It blows away 18 Halloween Kills. For sure, fucking H2O 4 and 5. This one has to be up there next to the original because it's a modern, updated version of William Shatner with the painted on brows, the pompadour hair. I mean, what'd you think of the mask, dude?
The mask, it looked really cool. It was, yeah, definitely one of the best looking ones. Because all the other movies, they all had like some strange look to them other than the original. And this one is pretty much like the same, very similar to the original. But yeah, I'd probably have to agree with you. It was one of the better looking masks.
Right? I was stoked that they did this, dude. And as a kid, you couldn't find that fucking same mask back in the day because, of course, they didn't have online shopping as big as it is now. But if you were able to find that mask, I think it was Cinema Secrets that made it. And they had used such shitty latex that if you bought one at that time, now they're probably all dissolved. But that mask was my favorite. But Trick or Treat Studios remade it. That one I think just kind of shows more defined cheekbones. The guy who played Michael Myers, he was a big motherfucker. He was like big and lean, and
Yeah,
he was pretty stout. He had big hands and shit. Kind of almost remind me like a basketball player, just a little bit more meat on his bones. And I like that the way how he did it because he just if it's not Nick Castle, I mean, because when you see Halloween Kills and they show the flashback scenes, like that was the next time that you saw that Michael Myers was legit. Like they actually went back to the original. Um,
yeah,
but this guy though, he was dead on like Nick Castle. I got to give him a lot of credit. He was a stuntman, of course, when he did that. And every Halloween movie they always do stuntman until Rob Zombies. We'll find out later on. But um, Michael Myers, I think they did really good on this. The thing that I have to argue, they just did this for the sake of making another Michael Myers movie. They brought him back from California to Haddonfield, which of course that was the first thing that they had to do. And then two, they killed off Laurie Strode. And then three, like, what do you do after you kill off Laurie Strode? Like, how do you carry on the Halloween name? So I think this one kind of suffered a little bit from the story because Laurie Strode's dead. What are you gonna do? And Jamie's not in it.
yeah.
I
I mean, they
really,
could have brought back her son possibly, but they didn't do that
I
either.
know, and they did show a picture of him in the mental hospital where she's sitting there with the doll. They show his picture, and it's like, what the fuck? Now your mom just died. You went through and lived through the whole Michael Myers thing. Like, why the fuck are you not gonna come back after him? That's I didn't get
Yeah, I mean
that
that's
either.
that's Michael's MO. He's always gone after family. So this time, I think it's just a wrong place, wrong time kind of thing.
Yeah, and
He's in
oh,
he's in the house, and they're all in there, and he doesn't want them in his house.
oh, okay, I can see that. I didn't even think about that. Honestly, I was going to ask you. I said, well, after he killed Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, why the fuck did he not go after Zeke? That's what I wanted to know. And I can see that now where he's like, okay, he killed her, went back home and was thinking, who the fuck are these people in my house? you know? Um,
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing because he was like living downstairs or in the like almost like an underground tunnel type area or whatever. And then all of a sudden he hears all these people in his house and he just starts killing them all. But why he didn't try to go after the son, John, right? Wasn't that his name?
mhm.
Yeah. Why he wasn't brought back at all, I don't know. He would have probably known better to be in the house.
The call's coming from inside the house. Honestly, like we could pick all day at the story on this because honestly, I don't know. It was just a culmination of things. It was too long from the last one. 9/11 kind of killed off a little bit of horror films. And at the same time, Josh Hartnett was filming the what movie was it? He was filming The Faculty when he was doing H2O. Those
Yeah.
two movies kind of got him big because now after that he was doing like all these teenage drama movies, teenage movies and stuff from the early 2000s. And he got his name out because of this. But why he never came back or why they didn't write the stories, I will never know. which that's a wasted opportunity. Even making a sequel to this one with him, that would have been badass, but they didn't. I want to touch base real quick on the music because I know the music on here, a lot of people actually liked it because it was a lot more creepy, because it was more slower, dun 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 dun, and then it had like the synthesizer, boom, boom, and then it had like the little girl, like fucking creepy, right?
Yeah, the score always like really sets the tone, helps out a lot. Because like if you
Right?
watch like the original Halloween on silent,
Mm-hmm.
it's nowhere near as good as with all the great score and everything. It helps out a lot.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was really impressed because this is the first Halloween film I got to see in theaters as a kid. I snuck into it because you at the time you had to be 17 or older and show proof that you can go and see an R-rated movie. It was the 2000s, kids. Come on now, we're old as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because I remember in the '90s they didn't even ID you for movies like Blockbuster or Movie Time or whatever, Movie Gallery and
mm,
all those places.
they didn't give a
I could
shit
go in
at
there and get
all.
any. I could go in there and get any horror movie I wanted, and I was like 8 or 9 years old. But going into a theater, not the same.
Yeah, I know. It was so fucking stupid at that time, dude. But you know what? I really did like Halloween Resurrections because of the fact of, everybody has their first time when they see a horror film, and it sucks because these newer generations they're not going to be able to see like a popular horror icon in theaters in their lifetime. Of course, we got to see Halloween again later on because they did the Rob Zombie stories, and then later on they did the whole 2008 refresher and all that, which is cool.
Yeah,
Jason, we can't say that much for other than a few, but I mean, realistically, with the way how they were pitching everything with this, it was cool for me. And I was in high school. You had to have your first horror film in high school to go see. But overall, with this film, I know we're winding down. What kind of rating are you going to give this? I'm going to ask you first.
for this one, it's very entertaining. It's a lot of fun to watch it, but I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 10.
Whoa! What the fuck? Why a five? You give H2O an 8 and you give this a five?
Well, I
Explain.
give H2O a 7.
Oh, you gave H2O a 7. My bad. My bad.
Yeah,
What?
so this
What?
one just it's I don't know. I guess it has like its corny moments and stuff, but like I said, overall it's very entertaining. It's a lot of fun to watch it. It's overall a great movie. It's not a bad movie by any means. It just has its small issues here and there, but it's mainly just what's that one? The blonde chick. She's ex stupid, and you can't wait for her to die. Just small shit like that. I mean, I'm nitpicky kind of stuff, but I mean, overall, it's a great movie. It's not bad by any means.
Yeah, I mean, she got hers coming because he cut off her head and then kicked it down the stairs. So that was kind of a cool scene. But
Yeah,
I know you're gonna be shocked at this, man, and I'm gonna blow it out of the water. I'm gonna give this a fucking 9 out of 10. Boom.
damn.
And the reason being is because I have a lot of nostalgia with this film. That's one. Two, my favorite mask on this. I love the mask what they did and the actor, the stuntman that played Michael Myers. And three, I love the concept because this movie was so far ahead of its time that people gave it shit like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. Now they do nothing but movies like this. They do Redbox movies, Netflix movies, Hulu movies. We were just talking off camera about that movie Unfriended, which takes place in my hometown of Fresno. And it's kind of a trip because they do the whole thing very similar, all digital, like Dangertainment. And I really
Yeah, but
like
that
that
one was like
concept.
all on like a Skype chat basically on that one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they did that, and um I mean also too I want to bring this up because this is another reason why I love this film. When DVDs start becoming a thing, right? You can either buy the VHS and get it for like $10 or you can spend $10 more and get the DVD, which $20 back in the day was like $50, kids. And this is,
Yeah,
2002, 2003, but when this came out, I remember I got it for Christmas because it came out December 10th on DVD. What a Christmas present, right? Um, I loved it because it was Dimensions Collector Edition, whatever. They fit all
yeah,
this shit on one DVD where you plug in the DVD, it had an animated screen, it had secret menus where you had to like push buttons to get through, and you had to go in the scene specials or the special features, and you can watch this. And this is actually kind of cool. You can watch Halloween Resurrection from their cameras as it's happening live. So you see all the footage that they had from like wearing their glasses and shit, which I thought was badass because yeah, it's not that long. It's like 20, 30 minutes, but you see from the angles of the actors. So you
Yeah,
miss
that's really
scenes.
cool.
Right? It's oh man, I
It's
fucking
almost
loved how
like found footage, kind of.
yeah, it gives a different depth of this film. So if you're a huge Halloween fan or any fan in general, DVDs they got you hooked up, man. Like 13 Ghosts, they had like different little mini documentaries on each ghost. This is at a time when they actually gave a shit about like updating this, making this DVD cool, giving all these cool features. And I'll never forget the first feature that I checked out was by mistake. Just I found the secret menu and I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's showing like, all of Donna's scenes. Then it shows all of Sarah's scenes and a lot of different things. And then believe it or not, they had three different endings to this film. And I'm glad they went with the one that they did because um, the other two were awful. Did you hear about how they are?
Uh, yeah. I think you mentioned something about it earlier. I can't remember exactly, but it sounded stupid.
They were stupid. So one is where Michael Myers gets up, she grabs an axe and smashes it to his head, kills the boogeyman. Um, and then the other one is where like Michael Myers is gone, they take him away to the morgue, and then the kid Decker comes in and meets her, and he's like, "Hey, Sarah, it's me, Decker," and she's like, high school kid," and she finds out she's catfished. you know. Um, I thought those were kind of cool, different things, but glad that they went with the ending that they did. And
Yeah, a lot better ending.
yeah, and with this one, you knew they had to kill off Jamie Lee Curtis because the whole reason why she came back to H2O was they were going to kill it off. But sneaky, sneaky here. Mustafa Akkad, he put it in the contract for all the writers, anybody that writes any Halloween film, you can't kill the boogeyman. Until recently, but at the time, you couldn't kill the boogeyman. You couldn't kill Michael Myers off. So
Yeah,
when Jamie Lee Curtis saw that, she was like, well, fuck, I'm done with this. And she was only in the film for like 5 minutes. And it was a typical horror trope. And it's basically what we were saying in the last episode, where it's got basically, it's Scream with a different name. And you have the serial killer killing all these kids. But 9 out of 10, to bring it back full circle, one of my favorite Halloween films. It's Dangertainment. But I mean,
yeah.
final thoughts?
Overall, great movie. Like I said, I mean, I did give it a 5, but it's not really hurting the movie at all. It's still very entertaining. I watch some pretty shitty movies, and it's nowhere near like a shit show. It's a lot of fun. Great movie to watch on any night, but during the Halloween season for sure. But I can watch Halloween year round. Especially like this one's like a great movie. Like you could sit down with a bunch of buddies or whatever and watch, and you got the whole online thing going on, almost like how they do in the movie, where they're sitting there watching it like live when it's happening. But yeah,
Yeah.
overall, a very fun, entertaining movie. If you haven't seen it, you definitely check it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know why you get a 5 out of 10, man, but I'll agree. I'll agree. I mean, but for me, it's my favorite. I got to give it 9 out of 10. And continuing on with the Halloween franchise, we still got a lot more to go through. So the next one that you guys are going to tune into, be sure to subscribe and follow because now we're going to get into the Rob Zombie time frame. And a lot of people either you love it, you hate Rob Zombie, but I can't wait till we dive into this. Casey, fuck it, let's go watch some Rob Zombie Halloween.